Mhm. Yay. All right. Uh, can we turn off the waiting room, please? Is there a way to do that? Probably not mid-meeting. It's okay, Francisco. We'll do it next time. All right. Marina, can you make me not co-host because I don't want to see all these notifications? Thank you. All right. Let's see. Uh, yes. All right, cool. All right, cool. Good morning. Please turn on your cameras. All right. How's everyone doing? Is that it? Just a few thumbs up? Okay. Laura gave me a big smile. Okay, got a heart. Okay. All right. Seriously, please, Marina, take me off co-host. Please, 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 please. I'm getting all these
You
notifications.
are co-host, sorry, but you already co-host. I don't
I know,
know.
but
I
yeah,
do not see
there's no way to unco-host me.
you co-host in start before I spotlight you. Sorry, I see you like a co-host. I don't know, maybe again.
I'm just sorry, there's like all these notifications and I can't focus. Cool. Well, welcome back, everyone. Well, you look like some of you are excited to be back. At least you're here. Yay, Pachi. Thank you. All right. So, what are we up to? We're nearly halfway through the entire series. So, first of all, if you're brand new, good morning. Good morning, Pei. If you're brand new, that's cool. You're in the right place. We always like to, we just finished a 10-day event at Diamond Mountain, and we had about 20, 25 new people who just saw an advertisement and were like, hey, I'm going to go to the middle of the desert in Arizona and study medicine Buddha in Nagarjuna. Baji was crazy. I mean, I was like, what? This is fun. So, and I kept saying, and people were like, I don't even know what the pen is. And we were like, that's okay. You're in the right place. Like your karma brought you here. Your whatever strange conditions brought these people. A lot of them were from New York. They didn't even know we had a big group of people in New York. I was like, do you know the Three Jewels? And they were like, who? I'm like, how did you hear about us? Thank you, Alona and marketing team. Right? How did you hear about us? So if this is your first class, you're in the right place and you're not missing anything. But if this is your ninth class, you're probably missing something, meaning all the rest of your homeworks. Some people are shaking their heads. I know it's true because I can see who's finished the classes and who haven't finished the classes. And no, homeworks aren't mandatory. However, you know, that's why we came up with the idea on Monday mornings. We're going to be doing a study hall at the virtual ACI library. Kind of looks like what Rosalia has in her background. Just sit at the library and quietly do your work together. Um, there's something I was because I was like, how do I sell this? Doing your homework. Yesterday in the translation class, Nick did his homework from a month ago, and I didn't remember anything in his class. I didn't remember a thing. I was like, oh, because I didn't review what happened in class. I didn't go through the main points. So basically, what I did last night is after Nick's class and after we did a separate class, I just reviewed my notes and I reviewed what the main points were in my mind ahead of afterwards. I'm like, okay, well, what were those main ideas? You know, because normally you could listen to an hour and a half class, but if you're really honest, how much do you remember? Right? What was that cool thing that Tim said? And then you're like, I need to ask someone, and then you write, and then you ask someone, what was that thing he said, or what was the main point? Because our minds aren't set up to remember everything initially. So spend time reviewing. Really, I mean, you know, I know people who've gone through the 18 courses who don't know a thing. Yes, I'm glad you have the recordings. You know, don't waste your time. We don't have time, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So we got 50 people. So if you've joined since the beginning of class, I'd like to see your pretty faces. So if you could turn on your cameras. Um, there we go. Hi. But if you're driving, don't look at the camera, okay? Okay. So what are we doing? We're in a new framework, a new course. And this course is it's called it was a it's originally the official name of the course is The Ethical Life. And I've kind of wondered, like, why is this course here now? Like, why? Like, why are we doing this now? And what is the reasoning behind it? Like, why do we just did the Bodhisattva vows 2 courses ago. And like, why are we going back into the ethical way of life again? Like, I don't know, what's the flow? What's the logical purpose of it? And frankly, I don't know. I mean, there's many reasons why it could be this way. But I think this first class, when I was studying the whole course, there's a I think there's a major shift in these 18 courses that happens in this one. And it's like, all right, you're halfway through. You're halfway through the courses. Let's let's get because we've said all these things before, but let's get a little bit more clear about what we're doing and what we're not doing. So it seems like in general, this course just seems like an informational course. um, what does it mean to live an ethical life? Because a lot of people, when they think of Buddhism, they think of They think of monks, they think of nuns, they think of, as the way it looks in some ways. They think of, people wearing robes and then doing prostrations and the types of prayers. And, when you hear the word Buddhist temple, for example, like what does that look like? Do we have a limit on this? Because there seems to be stuck at 100 people.
Yes, we are trying to upgrade the call, but we can't
Okay. Let me.
because you need to give us a permission to upgrade the call.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Hold on just 1 second, guys. Which account is this one under?
Love one.
Love one. Okay. That may have done it. There it goes. Okay, cool. I'll show you guys how to do that later. All right. Okay. The ethical way of life. So we have these visions, right? I have a really good friend who's come to some of these classes, and they have this thing where they're like, oh, hi, everybody. Sorry, we had a Zoom error. Um, People come to these classes, and then, I'm sorry, I had to reset my thoughts. So my friend was like, this doesn't look like Buddhism to me, Tim. I'm like, what? And they said, this doesn't look like, where's the altars? Where's the prayer flags? Where's this? Where's that? Where's the accoutrement? Like, and I'm like, and I started thinking about it, and I thought, well, why is this important to you? Like, why? And I realized that to my friend, like the outer the outer clothing, right? The outer levels, the outer layers didn't look like what they expected things to look like. And so they were just a little bit, they're like, well, I don't see how this is, I don't see how this is, Buddhism. And in this class is really about kind of the opposite. It's really kind of the opposite. Is anybody here an ordained nun or monk? No, I don't think so. Maybe from another lineage? No. Okay, so we have 128 people here who are not ordained. Okay. So, so how do, and most of us live, we live in, we're not removing ourselves from the world in the sense of the way an ordained person does. We have families, like Pachi has a partner and a little baby who's running around all the time, right? It's like, well, is Pachi not Buddhist because Pachi doesn't, although he is wearing a red shirt right now, it could be a, he's wearing monk's colors. That's maybe probably not the best example. Just kidding. But, like, this is my main question. What does Buddhism look like? Not yet. You know, what does it look like? And what does an ethical life mean? Like, does an ethical life look like what you look like on the outside or what you look like on the inside? Like, to be a practitioner, do you have to look a certain way? That's my main question. Like, do you have to look a certain way? I purposely, you know, I had some students who were like, Tim, you need to wear a button-down shirt and you need to comb your hair more and you don't look professional enough to teach Buddhism. I'm like, what? What? Oh, okay. So, you know, and of course, what you wear will attract people in a certain way. But so I wore a fancy t-shirt this morning, right? A nice one. It's nice and black. It's clean, it's expensive, right? But it's not, I'm not wearing a suit, right? Nor am I, I'm not wearing robes either. Ah, thank you, Lena. I took a shower. I blow dried my hair, right? I put some product in. Right? But does that make me Buddhist or not Buddhist? Right? What? So, so what we're getting into is, what does your inner landscape look like? What does your inner world look like? And how does one live a good life? But it's much more than that. Like, when people think of the ethical life, they think of rules. They think of, I can do this, they can do that. I can do this, I can't do that, right? Some of us, I grew up in a Christian house and we had the 10 commandments, like thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet your neighbor, things like that. Like what you should and shouldn't do. And it feels, in some way it feels like obvious things, in other ways it feels like an imposition of rules from the outside. And so part of what this course is about is to understand that what might look like rules from the outside are, and codes of conduct, are actually more about an internal landscape of who you are and who you could become. And then the why, like, why would you behave in a certain way and not in other ways? Like, why? Why should I be nice? Why should I listen to people? Why should I give space for people when they're having a difficult time? How do I recognize the suffering in others? How do I recognize the deep, deep pains that people have that they don't wear on the surface, but are inside them? And what does that kind of living do? The basics, like this is a basics, like 101, but nothing works without it. Nothing that if you're trying to get some things in life, if you're trying to make things work, they only work because of an ethical life and no other reason. But I don't want to make it sound like, you're in first grade and you're like, everyone's sitting in their desks, right? And the teacher's like, do this, do this, do this, do this. Don't do this. Like, it's like a parent. Don't touch the stove. And you're like, Mommy, why don't I touch the stove? Because it's hot. What's hot? It'll burn. What's burn? Don't touch the stove. But Mommy, why? Right? Until you burn yourself the first time, you have no idea why Mommy said, don't touch the stove. Right? And you go, oh, that's because that's what hot and burning means, right? So it was an interesting irony of this is I could sit here, I can sit back and be like, you know, here's some things that you might consider doing and some things considering not a doing. And I can't really prove it to you until you've seen the results of the things you've done that create things you don't want. Like, how do mild irritations sorry, Pei, I don't want to be your dad either. um, but until you experience the negative results, you won't believe it until you understand how you're experiencing those results. And until you understand that the mild irritations that you even have in your mind that you don't share with people can create larger external irritations coming back at you, right? Until you can see those connections, there's not really much I can say. So you might as well just go and just just go away. Let's just end the call right now. Oh, 3 people left. No, just kidding, just kidding. That was great. Whomever just left on cue. But let's learn about it. Like, let's learn about what those things are and why. So we're going to go into this. Let's see, what do I want to do first? And this first thing we're going to talk about is, I consider it like it's like the bombshell of this course. Let's see, where is it? Okay. So the first question I have is, why does one keep a good life? Why do you keep an ethical life? Why do you focus on kindness? All right. Why do you focus on that? And here we go. All right. So in the beginning, oftentimes, and oftentimes even in these classes, we talk about, oh, get what you want. Like the 4 steps. We've talked about this many times. Decide what you want. Decide what you want, and then go plant the seed. So we have this thing like, all right, I want money. I want money to be able to do things, to stay in nice hotel rooms, for example, or to pay my bills, or to get nice t-shirts, or to take people out on really nice dinner dates, or maybe I want some money to be able to give to some important nonprofits like ACI. Or I want some money to be able to support larger projects of my teacher, right? There's all different motivations for money. But we start with this question, right? Oftentimes, like, I want a good relationship. I want reasonably comfortable finances, right? We want all of these things. And if you've gone to a DCI course, that's what we focus on in the beginning, primarily. Like, get what you want. Yay, go plant the seed. Okay. But here's the bombshell. All right. If by living an ethical life, if your only motivation is about how we look or about honor or about gifts, then the true point of the ethical life is lost. Right? So if we're only doing it to look good, to only get things, then we've kind of they've really missed the point. And this is the distinction between ACI and DCI, if you ever wanted to know. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with DCI. In fact, it's a beautiful, beautiful path. But what we don't tell people in DCI until much, much, much later, and very rarely, is that you can't take any of the things that you can get by planting seeds in a normal way. Oh, get a good relationship. Oh, really? Okay, I'll get a good relationship. How many good relationships had to end? How many people had beautiful, wonderful partners and then the partner is gone? Why are they gone? Oh, well, maybe they're gone because they fell out of love with you or you fell out of love with them. Well, that's weird. I thought we were partners. I thought we were together. I thought this was like happily ever after. Or, oh, I have a great partner. Oh, but they died. We were together for 40 years and someone got sick and died. Or someone was in a car accident. Oh, okay, well, I need money to live a comfortable life. Oh, really? What happens if all of a sudden your country spirals into inflation? Do you have money now? You have paper. You have number in a bank account, but it's worth nothing, right? Oh, my body. Like, oh, you thought you had a good body? That's probably the easiest one. Like, at some point, your body will get old, right? It'll start hurting. It'll start breaking. That's a hard place to be. So the things that we plant seeds for, oh, I want good health. I want a good partner. I want financial freedom. Oh, yes, those are good things to strive for. And please don't stop. I didn't say don't do that. Understand, I didn't say don't do that. But what I'm saying is understand that all good things must come to an end. Okay. All things that you're planting seeds for have to ripen and then unripen, like they die. Okay, so if we're merely going for a worldly success, merely, only, okay, that's something, and a good ethical life can do that. And I'm not saying it can't. That's the best part. You can have both. But what's the other thing we're talking about? What's the other thing we're talking about? Please don't take this message as give up your life, give everything away, walk around in a loincloth. Be a wandering poor yogi. You could if you're called to that path, please, by all means, go for it. But I'm not saying those things. I'm not saying give up what you have, because what you have came from good. What you currently have came from your good deeds in the past. And you want more, right? Okay, so keep that up. But because we know that all those things have to come to an end, including your body, we should be living an ethical life with a different motivation. And that is to escape this cycle. Like, how many people want a relationship and they want to keep it forever? Like, dating sucks. Like, getting to know someone it takes time. Like, you had a great relationship 10 years and it ended. Like, that's probably 10 to 15 years of intimacy with someone, just getting to know them. Like, the process to get to know someone takes time. And then to learn to communicate and to learn what you like and what you dislike and your boundaries and how to communicate and how to exist in conflict and how to resolve conflict and how to maintain an attitude of love and service. Like, come on. Like, okay, like, we don't want that to end, but we know in the back of our minds that it could. And that actually, frankly, drives a lot of conflict, if you're really honest about it. But if we look deeper into it, sorry, we're getting heavy right away. Sorry. But if you look deeper into it and have a motivation, is there a way to escape from it? Is there a way to end it? Is there a way to, by living a good life, could you possibly change all of that? Can we change the features of our minds and bodies, what we came into? And that's the whole point. Can we? And we didn't create 18 courses to say, oh, nope, we can't. We didn't do that. Of course, the answer is yes, we can. And everything you learned in DCI can help you with that. Everything you learn in these classes can. But then you have to understand how. How does it do it? And then you can enjoy the things that you do have. Like, how do you enjoy the partnership that in the back of your mind knows because it started has to end? Hopefully it ends. Maybe you end together. Like, what was that movie? They're in a car together. What is it? I'll remember it. It's not a movie, it's a book. If you're fortunate, you'll die together. But typically that's not what happens, right? Someone gets sick first. And hopefully it's a long life, right? Hopefully you have the, like, we want all of these things. And yes, keep working towards those. And those things will come automatically if you keep an ethical life. That's the best part. Those good things will come. It's not The Notebook. It's a much better movie. It was by a Czech author. What was a book and then a movie? Anyway, I'll come to my mind. So the idea really is, how does this push us through on our spiritual path? Like, why? Like, the big why. Please, please, please get the things that you want and need. Like, but understand the why. Understand that there's something deeper behind it. The things that you get will have to end. The things that you get are coming from seeds. So they arose and they have to unarise. Okay. And how do you keep them? And how do you most importantly escape? Like, how do we get there? This is driving me nuts. All right. So what we call, skip over that. What we call this in this study is called Vinaya. And the word in Tibetan is Dula. So the idea is studying an ethical way of life, which is the first thing that you study in the monastery. One of the first things you study. Like, how does one live? Like, when you become ordained, which we're not, how does one, you get a certain set of ethical behaviors. You get it, like, here are some vows for you. There's lots of them. And we're actually going to go over a few of the main ones, the top 10 today, for us to get started. But what does Dula mean? What is Vinaya, which is the Sanskrit word for Dula? What does this mean? Is that the first place that we start is how do we bring our own wild mind, our own wild emotions under control? Like, how do we take, like when you have a child, for example, like a child doesn't know anything. So you're constantly saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, right? Like, don't put your hand on the stove, Shanti. Like, don't put your finger in the electrical socket, Shanti. Right? Don't open the sliding glass door. You're gonna fall into the street, Shanti. Like, like all of these things is like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, right? And the kid looks at you like, why are you telling me not to do this? And then they get mad, right? And they're like, don't. I want to put my finger in there. Okay, go ahead. See what happens. And as adults, we're kind of the same way, if we're really honest. I don't want to do what my boss says. I don't want to do what my partner says, right? I want to be independent. I will do what I want. Leave me alone, right? And then we get resentful and all these things happen. But inside we have this, the point of Vinaya is to tame the things that hurt us, but we don't know are hurting us. That was funny. To tame the things, to bring under control the things that hurt us that we actually don't even know are hurting us. That's the annoying part. We don't even know. We don't even know what those things are. So in Vinaya, we focus on the don'ts. Don't kill. Don't steal. Don't hurt other people's relationships. Don't cheat, right? I met somebody yesterday and immediately I was like, oh, that's a nice diamond ring on your hand. Like, right? She's a friend of a friend. Okay, great. You got a partner. Wonderful. And now I know why you're friends with my friend, because my friend's awesome. And of course, my friend will have awesome friends. So, like, don't lie. Things like that. Don't. We're putting boundaries on. What did we do in, really, Anna? Anna, diamonds are forever? Really? And then, okay, let's go back to ACI 7, the Bodhisattva vows. Those are actually next level vows. right? All of those vows are about, now that you've brought your mind under control, how do you care for other people? Like, how do you really how do you serve others? And they're about service. Yes, not killing another human being is a service to them. Thank you. Got a couple giggles on that one. Okay. Like, not stealing from another human being is being of service to them. Yes, of course. But part of the Vinaya, part of the discipline is really about catching all the ways that we're planting seeds that we don't know that we're planting. Like an unruly child who hasn't learned not to touch the stove yet. Like the child who hasn't learned not to do certain things. Like, don't take toys from other people, from other kids. So the part of Buddhist ethics is we start with, how do we bring this? And most of us, I mean, I hope most of us aren't killing other people. Most of us aren't stealing things of value. Most of us are not running around cheating on our partner, or trying to get other people. Like, we're not doing those things. We're not like pathological liars. You know, we're already, th- that's not, those are gross external things. We're not doing those things. But we have to start getting more subtle about it. In what ways are our minds out of control? Like, how does, how much, divisive speech and talk do we engage in? How much, like a friend called me last night and was upset about somebody else and the way they were treating them. And I was like, how do I handle this without making it divisive? Like, do I agree that they were mistreated? I don't know what was going on. So, like, to be very careful and to use language like, you know, I like your experience, it sounds terrible. Like, it sounds like you felt mistreated. Like, you know, it sounds like, I'm speaking from their experience, not from the person that quote mistreated them. I don't know what happened. This other person wanted me to be on their side too, right? They wanted me to say, yeah, that person's a jerk. They're a self-existent jerk all the time. So we should not like them. And it's easy when you don't think the other person's a jerk, but if you think the other person's a jerk, then it becomes easier. Well, yeah, they did that to me too. So now all of a sudden we're engaging in divisive speech with each other and creating a story about this other person in our minds, right? And then what does that do to your inner body? What does that do to you afterwards? Then you start planning how you're going to tell that person they're a jerk, or you're going to explain to them, it's like, the way you behaved the other day, you're always doing this, and I don't like you, and I don't want to work with you, and blah, blah, whatever. You start planning all of these things. And then that just totally 100% kills your spiritual life. Why? And this is the point of today's class. Why does having an untamed, unruly, crazy mind destroy your spiritual life? How does that block you from even getting the nice things that you want? Oh, but Tim, I do go to the nursing home. I do take care of lonely people. I am generous with people. I'm constantly giving time. I'm helping people with their finances. I'm doing all these things, but it's not ripening for me. Oh, well, maybe maybe there's something going on in your Vinaya that's causing your mind, is creating obstacles for you to have those other things that you want. If you're constantly being divisive or trying to be the right one, I'm right and you're wrong, in an afflicted way, or my boss doesn't understand anything, I'm right, my boss is wrong. What kind of partner are you going to create? You might create a partner by going to the nursing home, but then you're going to create someone who talks shit on you to their friends. Right? Or worse, they say it right to your face. Right? All the time. So what's in your foundation? Like, think of the Vinaya as foundation. If you don't have foundations in place, then all the other stuff can't work. And we're going to go into why. Like, why is that? What is this about? Okay, we'll go to that in a second. All right. So here's kind of the crux of the course. And this is the whole point of why we're doing what we're doing. Why did I say that if your mind isn't tamed, that it becomes an obstacle to your spiritual life? That's a correct answer, Anastasia. Yes, those are all right things, but it's not where I'm going. If we think about Vinaya, what does having a tame, like, okay, let me think of it different. Let me ask the question differently. How does one advance on a spiritual path? How about that? How does one advance? Yeah, kind of. Let me ask a different question. All right, so you've been bothered by your boss. You've been bothered by your partner. Oh, you're just speaking divisively to all of your friends about this other person. Okay. Then you go to sit down and meditate. What happens? You can't. Because what do you meditate on? Right, you meditate on the problem. You meditate on everything of how you are right and arguing, and you start focusing more on the affliction. Let's go sit down and meditate, everyone. Wow, no, you can't. You just can't advance. So in this perspective, the Vinaya creates meditation, creates good meditation. It tames our mind and heart so that we are able to meditate. And what Lena said is then it allows us to then achieve a platform upon which we can then have the deeper realizations. So it becomes a kind of cool flow. All right. These are all emojis blowing up, everybody. Did you know that the book emoji in Apple says Volume 1 by John Appleseed? That's what it says on there. So when you zoom in on your emoji at 150 pixel size, whatever it is, it says that. That's fun. So your book practice. That's why I wrote a book there. Like you're keeping track of your Vinaya. You're keeping track of your vows in the sense of you're keeping track of the things that will hurt you. Like, don't think of these as vows. Don't think of them as an ethical way of life. You could think of it as an ethical way of life, but the better way to think of it is I'm doing, nice pay. There it is. Nice little icon up there. Think of it as the things that will create the things you want. And then it'll stop creating the things that you don't want. So by engaging the foundation of Buddhist ethics, it then allows for everything else to happen. It creates the causes for that. So it allows you to meditate. It allows you to have a calm, focused, inquisitive, incisive mind. I'm not just talking about in meditation, but it also allows you to have it outside of meditation too. So your mind is not distracted. So your mind is not fluttering around. Because someone may criticize you, and how do you respond to that? That's a different question too. And then what happens is that meditation, that meditative platform allows you, that's the Zen symbol for emptiness. Okay. Allows you to see emptiness. Allows you to have that direct perception of reality. Allows you to understand how things in the universe work for you. And it was always already working that way. Then you get to experience it directly. Like all the stuff that we talk about, cause and effect, this creates that. Your world is created this way, etc., etc. Then you get to see it directly. And then the whole thing is possible. The whole thing is possible from there. But that's the point of this course, is to outline that foundation. By the way, if you're ever having problems and you can't figure it out, it probably has to do with your Vinaya. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the things that, and then you'll find really quickly the thing that you're doing to create the problems. So Jason Kappa says, basically, he says a few things. First of all, what we just discussed, which just seemed pretty obvious, I think, for those of you who've been around for a while, is that the idea that in order to see emptiness directly, you can't do it without reaching a high level of meditation. And he said in his time that most people have forgotten this idea. So this is the opposite way of talking about it. They have forgotten this idea. Like, oh, I can reach deep states of spiritual insight. Oh, I can, I can achieve those states, at a dance party, or I could take some drugs, or I can, you know, whatever mode you might be in to be able to think you're going to see deep reality. But most people don't even know that to see that you have to be able to meditate. Why is ACI traveling to the Diamond World Series? So we don't forget. And then we start creating a culture of meditation. I'm going to be a little embarrassing. I asked a group of people recently how often they were meditating, and no one raised their hand. And I was like, okay, let's go back to 5 minutes. Please start meditating 5 minutes. Okay. Like we forget, and it's normal to forget. And it's a thing that I do. It's like I get so busy. Oh my God, I have all these Dharma projects. Even during the Medicine Buddha retreat, by the end, I'm like, what the hell is wrong? And I'm like, oh, I'm not meditating. I'm not meditating. And I'm like, I have to do that even as busy as as I get. And all of our lives get busy. There's always one more thing to do. There's always one more thing to clean up. There's always one more thing, right, Janet? She's trying not to like laugh at her. She's like, she's trying not to be like, Tim, you're talking about me. Look, I'm sorry, I embarrassed you. Didn't mean to. Um, no, like there's always one more thing to do. We forget. But then we forget something else. And this is what Jason Kappa said. He said, so most people have forgotten that meditation is the key to is the key to getting out of samsara. Okay. But they forget even more than that. They forget what causes meditation in the first place. Good meditation. They forget. More people have forgotten that. So we're in this level of forgetting. It's, then we're like, and then when you become like, you become a great Buddhist practitioner and you're teaching all the time and blah, 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 right? And then you're like, you have to teach ACI 9 and you're like, huh, am I doing what I say I'm doing? Oh yeah, I'm observing. I'm making sure I'm doing okay. I'm like, am I really? Am I really? Like, am I the one? Am I the one remembering? And then you just go back. You're like, all right, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. So all of those, like there's the positive order and the negative order. The negative order is we forget, right? We forget what actually gets us there. And then what does get us there is living a clean, and look, guys, I have a problem and it drives people nuts. I don't remember what I say to people. When I tell the truth. Why? Because there's no reason to have to remember. I told the truth. If I lie, I have to remember that I lied, and then I have to remember the stories, and then I have to keep telling the stories, right? And I have to keep maintaining it. All right. When you tell the truth, you don't have to remember the truth because you said the truth. And I'm being facetious in the sense I don't remember all the time, but it doesn't create an affliction. I said the truth and it's gone. Like it's there. It's not like I have to remember what I said. But when you start lying, how much energy do you have to put into the lie? Good luck meditating. Right? So if you sit down to meditate and you can't meditate, you have to be like, oh, well, shit, my vows, my 10 good deeds, my 10 non-virtues, depending how you look at them, maybe there's something I'm doing. Well, that's an interesting question. How many minutes do we need to meditate? Depends what your goal is. We suggest start with 10 minutes. And then every week add in another minute until you reach about an hour. To get to a platform to see emptiness directly, you need about that much time consistently. But what you actually need is the karma. So don't talk about minutes. Let's talk about the seeds for it. What are the seeds for good meditation? The seeds for good meditation are the Vinaya. Don't disturb other people's minds. Don't disturb your own mind, for that matter. So this is just an aside thing, but I think it's important. The collection of scripture called Vinaya is considered the highest teachings of the Buddha. Oh, wait, Tim, I thought we needed Diamond Way. I thought the Diamond Way was the highest teachings. What are you talking about? The first part of this Kangyur, the Vinaya collection of sutras, the first part is considered the highest teachings of the Buddha? Why? One is that they say it's that they're sufficient to represent the entire instructions of the Buddha. And then the second part is that they actually can substitute for the Buddha himself. The rules on ethical behavior are a substitute for Buddha. At first I was like, what? And Lena's like, what? What? I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. So one, it's sufficient to represent the entire instructions, and it can be a representation of the Buddha. Why? First, why is it a representation of the Buddha? Because it's how a Buddha acts. Like, how does a Buddha act? You know, does a Buddha kill? Does a Buddha steal? Does a Buddha lie? Does a Buddha engage in divisive speech? No. Secondly, I would argue that those things, those ways of being are the cause for all the other teachings. Okay. Without them, you can't have the other teachings. It's impossible. In the Vajrayana vows, the 10 non-virtues appear again. And it says, make special effort, make even more special efforts to not kill. Make even more special efforts to not steal. Okay. make even more special efforts to not lie, to engage in sexual misconduct, all of those things. The highest code of conduct circles back to the beginning, to the foundation. Because without it, nothing else can work. So you have to meditate on that. And oh, wait, how are you going to meditate on it? Your old seeds of having taken care of others in the past will ripen when you sit down, maybe, and then you'll be able to meditate on it. And if you're having a bad meditation, it means that last week you were probably irritated with somebody. Or last year, or 3 years ago, or lifetimes ago, whatever. It's just easier to say last week. Probably because you were irritated with someone last week. Right? How many people got irritated with someone last week, even just a little bit? Come on, I think you're lying. Don't lie. You're not allowed to lie either. Okay. So that's why we say that. Probably last week you were irritated, and so that's why you can't meditate today. Where are we? Okay. Now we get to go to the fun part of class. Yay! It's my favorite part of the first class of any ACI course, where we get to look at all the sources. Where did all this come from? We're not making this up. We'll do this really fast. So first of all, we're going to be studying a text. There's 2 root sutras on Vinaya. Well, there's more than 2, but the 2 that we're going to study are the Sutra on the Vows of Freedom for monks and the Sutra on the Vows of Freedom for nuns, for full nuns and full monks. We're actually not going to go into what all the vows are for monks and nuns. If you want to do that, you should go watch Allison's classes on YouTube, because we translated all of them from her book. If you want to learn about what you need to do if you're a monk or a nun, go to that. And some of you might have seeds for ordination. And that's something that ACI does as well. Yes, there is a difference. There are different vows for men and women. Okay. Everyone knows that irritates me. Okay. No, Desmond, it's a sutra. Who spoke this? Who wrote this or spoke the sutra? Yeah, exactly. So those are the 2 root sutras. Okay. But we're not going to be studying those direct. We're going to be studying some commentaries. So the first commentary we're going to be studying is by Master Gunaprabha. And that's about 500 AD. It's called, let's see, what is it called here? It's in my text. For all you nerds, here it is. Duedo. The Sutra on Vinaya. That's super easy. That's the first one. It's about Gunaprabha is from about 500 AD. And the next one we're going to study is a Dua Gatsoi Ningpo. All right, what do those words mean? Let's see, Roxana's translating, dang. All right, what does Dula mean? God, that was so long ago.
Vanaya.
That's right, Vinaya. What does Vinaya mean in normal terms? Right, it means to tame, to discipline, like that. What's Gatso? Gatso? The second two words. Tenzin Gatso. What's a large body of water? That's right, it's an ocean. Gatso. And what's Ningpo? How about, oh, you said that in a different language. I wonder what that means. What is Ningpo? Come on, guys, come on. The essence, right, correct. So this is the essence, the heart of the ocean of discipline, the essence or the heart of the ocean of discipline. So it's basically the essence of the great teachings on discipline. And who wrote it? I'll give you a hint. Who wrote that?
Jetsongapa.
That's right. That's his Tibetan. That's how you write his Tibetan name. Okay. So I wanted to show you a picture of Jason Kappa. So this is a picture by Ben Christensen. It's a tanka that he made. And so the top of it is Jason Kappa. And then in the essence, one of the how do I say it? Some of the essences of Jason Kappa, what we say is that that he had Manjushri in his heart, a Buddha of wisdom, that the Buddha of wisdom was in his heart. So when you look at the whole tanka here, like the whole thing, you know, there's a power into the way that he drew this. And that's just for you guys to ponder. Might be interesting for later. The other commentary we're going to study is called Ninjay. Ninjay. What does Ning mean? I'll give you a hint. What's that thing in the window?
Race.
Nope. That is true that there's rays in the window, but what's making the rays? The sun. Okay. So, but we also, so Che means is kind of like a make. So this is the maker of day, the day maker, which is called the sun, right? So that's what's arising right there. So that's a commentary. The day maker is a commentary by Nuttradharma Bhadra, who is a very, very important teacher in our lineage, especially in the Vajrayogini lineage. That he and Pabonka Rinpoche wrote some very important commentaries on the Vajrayogini practice. So he might know something about Vinaya. If he wrote about Vajrayogini, maybe he knows something about Vinaya. So that was like the last 3 homework questions. Yay, we did it all. That's not normal. That's not normal that we did all the homework. We did everything. We still have 13 minutes left. Abnormal. So what I thought we could do is let's do a meditation. Let's do a meditation. All right. So close your eyes. And come to your breath. Notice the sensations of your breath as you exhale and inhale. And now bring your awareness to the tip of your nose. And notice the sensations of the exhalation and inhalation just in your nose. And now bring to mind something that in the last week or so that you did to somebody else that disturbed their peace of mind? It could be something subtle, like you didn't respond to a message, or something that more obvious where you criticize someone openly. And then think to yourself that that act planted a seed that will have to ripen. And that seed may ripen in many ways, including a bad meditation. And now think of something you did that brought calmness to someone else's mind. Maybe you completed a task on time. Maybe you comforted someone who was in need of comfort. And see that seed growing. See that seed growing into perfect meditation. And then take 3 long exhales. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right, cool. We have 2 minutes. Does anyone have a question?
I have a question. So we dedicate good deeds we've done to achieve spiritual goals, but I'm wondering, can we dedicate the bad deeds so they can ripen in a less? For example, if I disturb my mind, if I disturb someone, and it could ripen in a bad meditation, but can I dedicate, if I disturb someone, let disturbance ripen in a way that someone just disturbed me a little bit at work?
Well, the idea of dedication is that you're offering your good seeds to other people immediately. You know, that they ripen in other people, or they ripen in a way that you see successes in other people and taking care of them. So that for me, the main point of dedication is to combat self-cherishing. Like, oh, let me, I planted a seed, I gave money to someone else. Oh, may I get money back? Okay, that's nice. But like, it's kind of nicer that made that seed of generosity become a cause for enlightenment, or a cause for something much bigger than what it is. And the idea of negative seeds, the whole point of the 4 powers is to force them to ripen faster and in smaller ways. So if you understand the nature of seeds, and you did something that is going to have to ripen as a negative experience, you want to get them to ripen as fast as possible so they don't become major problems or major obstacles in meditation. So it's not so much about dedicating what they will ripen as, more as by understanding the nature of seeds, you can get the negative seeds to ripen faster so they don't create massive problems in the future.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, great. Yay, class 1. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all the translators. Thank you all the tech people. I'm honored that you're all here. And we'll see you very soon. I don't remember when. I think it's Friday. I think it's Friday. No, Saturday. Nope, Thursday. I think. Yeah, so Thursday morning we have our next class. So thank you all for joining. Good to see all of you. And yeah, let's say goodbye. See you Thursday.
Thank
Adiós.
Tim, bye.
Muchas
Thank you,
gracias.
Thank you
Tim.
so much.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Adiós. Feliz día.
Thank you so much.
Adiós.
Thank you.
Gracias.
谢谢 Tim 老师，谢谢翻译。
拜拜。
Thank you.
谢谢 Tim
Thank
老
you
师
so。much. Have a nice day.
Thank you, teacher. 谢谢。
Ciao.
Thank you.
谢谢。Thank you.
Whoa, where did the balloons come from? Okay, cool. Bye.